Hi guys, welcome to another episode of It's Critical. I'm your host Kritika Singh, and with us today we have Shasvathi Siva, who's an entrepreneur and founder of Cowvathi. Shasvathi will be talking to us about her experience of becoming an entrepreneur, starting a vegan cheese brand, the ill effects of dairy on our health, the climate, and on the animals. Let's hear more from Shasvathi herself. Happy listening. Thank you so much for coming on board, and it's a pleasure having you here.
Thank you, Kritika. I'm so happy to be here, and I look forward to having a good conversation with you about veganism, and also so grateful for all this technology that we're able to do this despite the fact that we're not like next to each
True.
other. So it's great. It's great that we are able to also use all of this in a positive way to tell people more about veganism as well.
True. So, thank you so much for that. To start with, the first thing that I would like to know is what motivated you to choose a plant based lifestyle?
Okay, so I was raised
Okay.
vegetarian. Yeah, I grew up in a proper traditional South Indian family, and we grew up vegetarian. And I always considered myself as someone who really loved animals. In the sense, I'm not someone who would say want to bring all the animals home, but I've always, had like a connection, and I've always liked to, you know, um, pet stray dogs and play with them and stuff like that. So I always considered myself an animal lover, and because I didn't eat meat, I never actually thought that I was harming any animal, because that's what we are taught to believe also,
Yeah.
right? Like while growing up, we're just told that cows give us milk, and we are vegetarians, and meat eater. I mean, eating meat is harming animals
Yeah.
and stuff like that. So that's something I always believed. And then when I think it was after we had dogs of our own, and some people told us that if you aren't really cruelty free if you're saying you're vegetarian, because you're still like dairy is still a big contributor
True.
to animal cruelty, and I couldn't believe it. Then I was like, oh wow, okay, like really. And it was my parents who made the connect to this even before I
Okay.
did. And when my father visited a dairy farm, and he came back, he was so disturbed, and he was just like, I can never eat dairy again. And I was really confused, because I felt like it's like I didn't understand what went behind it. And I think I started doing my own research about it. This was about 7 8 years ago. And I started educating myself. I started finding out more things. Of course, I was also just 21, 22 at that point of time, and going out with friends and having pizza and all of those things were like
Yeah.
kind of priority at that point of time. And I was very conflicted between a rational part of my brain saying what I'm having is wrong, versus the emotional part of my brain saying, but I want to have
Yeah.
it. And that's something I battled with. And I was kind of battling between what is right and versus what I actually wanted to do. So I eventually it kind of just closed in, and I realized that okay, I really cannot be contributing to animal cruelty just because it's something, cheese is something I like, or butter is something I like to
Yeah.
eat. So I had to make a decision as to like, okay, I have to stop dilly dallying, and I have to put my foot down about it. And that's how I went vegan. And I did not go vegan overnight, and I wasn't able to just give up everything that I used to have. So I made a list of all the dairy items I really like to the ones I don't like so much, and I started ticking it off one by one by one. And eventually I came to a point where I had given everything up. And at that point of time, there were no alternatives. There was nothing. If you just gave up something, you gave
Yeah.
up something. This was just 8 years ago, but it's a world of
Yeah.
difference. Like everything is so different from how it is today. And yeah, so that's how I became a vegan, and that's how I got introduced to veganism. And I think I made a lot of connect with like my dog and the cows in the dairy industry, because I would feel like I wouldn't do anything to hurt my dog. I wouldn't even dream of it. I wouldn't even let anybody even like scold
Yeah.
him. And I decided that, just because that cow is not in my house or that cow is not my own pet, does not mean I have any authority to, put that cow through that level of abuse and that much of, just disaster before getting a glass of milk that was delivered to me. So it was just a very, very moral and conscious decision that I took to be like, okay, I think I want to be vegan. I want to live an ethical lifestyle. So
Yeah, I
yeah.
think your story is pretty insightful, Shaswati, because every time we think that when we talk about plant-based diet or veganism for that matter, people always say, "Oh yeah, I'm vegetarian, so I think I'm not harming animals," and that's
Right.
the mindset or that's the idea that we need to probably change, or educate people, aware them more in terms of when it's dairy, it does not mean that it's cruelty free. And it takes, sure, it takes a lot of time, but I mean your story is in itself an example, right? Vegetarians vegetarians also can transition, and being vegetarian and consuming dairy does not mean that you're cruelty free.
Yeah, I think a lot of times what happens is that, when you're eating meat, you're still very aware that you're consuming a part of an animal, you're consuming a body part of
Yeah.
an animal. But when it comes to dairy, a lot of people are in so much denial
Yeah.
about it because, you're always told that no. There are so many things that people continue to say even today. They'll say cows produce excess
Yeah.
milk, and I get mine from the nearby gushala, and cows need to give us this.
True.
We do not consume cow's milk, the cow will explode,
True.
and this will happen, that will happen, all kinds of things. So it's like the belief system is so much stronger in dairy
Yeah.
than it actually is in a meat industry, because I think the meat industry is more straightforward in a way that you're eating an animal.
Yeah.
So you know that the animal has been slaughtered for it to end up on your plate. But whereas in the in the dairy industry, you don't realize that.
Yeah.
You need to kind of be made aware, and then there is the whole thing of like someone actually believing it. That's a
True.
whole other story in itself. So yeah, I think getting a staunch vegetarian to even believe that he or she is committing animal cruelty itself is, I think, a task
True,
in itself.
true. Talking about dairy, and when we think about cheese, we usually think about cheese made out of milk or cheese made out of the dairy products, right? So, is vegan cheese even delicious, or does it compare anywhere to dairy cheese?
So, when people ask me, this is actually one of my most favorite questions because I think, as someone who's trying to come up with alternatives to an
Yeah,
existing product and to a product that's been loved for generations and something that's been around for a really, really long time, I will say that vegan cheese is delicious, no doubt. Of course, it is delicious. Is it going to be exactly the taste of your dairy cheese? I wouldn't say yes, because, and I will give you the reason
yeah,
for it. Because the ingredients are entirely
true.
different. The method in which it's made is entirely different. The chemicals involved in the fermentation, for example, in the way it is set, in the way it is sent, everything, the way, even it is packaged, it's entirely different,
Yeah,
right? It comes close. It definitely comes close. There are types of cheeses you can melt. There are types of cheeses you can cut. Some you can grate. Some you can spread. Some are flavored. Some are plain. So many things. Yes, it definitely is a good alternative to have. It is close, but will it ever be 100%? No, it will not be 100% because the ingredients are entirely
yeah,
different. One on the one hand, you're having the um, milk of a cow. On the other hand, you have either cashew nuts, or you have soy, or you have almonds to make the cheese with. So just the base ingredient is so
yeah,
different. So while you can get it close, while you can do a lot of experiments, you can use a lot of ingredients to get it close, I would say yes, like 85 to 90%, it's possible to nail it. There will be a bit of a difference there, and there should
yeah,
be
of
also.
course.
When we are having something as delicious as cashews, or you're having something as nutritious as the soy, why shouldn't it have the taste of it? Even cow's milk has a taste to
True,
it. You're just used to it. That's it.
true.
It's not like you're going from a neutral taste to something that's entirely different. You're just so used to it that it's starting to seem like that is the normal, when it's just another flavor. So as long as it imitates, you're able to make a pizza, you're able to make a pasta, you're able to use it in ways that you
Yeah.
want to, I think it's good
Yeah.
enough.
And it's nutritious, right?
Firstly, any plant-based food does not have cholesterol
Yeah.
in it. There are fats, there are good fats, there are bad fats. But even if you take, say 200 grams of cashew cheese, you're not going to consume 200 grams in one sitting.
True.
It's very filling. You're going to consume barely, say 50, 60 grams at the most to make something. So that's barely anything. So you're not, it's just when you say cashew, then everybody's like, oh my God, cholesterol. Like, no, that's again like a, full
Yeah.
blown myth. Whereas on the other hand, when you take dairy cheese, not only does it have cholesterol, it's also pumped up with different kinds of hormones. There's oxytocin in it.
Yeah.
There are various antibiotics that the cows are pumped with, which directly comes out in the milk. Um, it also has a lot of excess protein that we cannot digest
True.
as human beings. That protein is meant for a 20 kg calf to grow into a 150 kg cow. So you can't expect your tiny human body to process the same amount of protein that a calf
Yeah.
can. Of course, cow's milk has protein. There's no doubting it. There's no denying it. But that protein is not meant for our bodies to break down. And cow's milk is also heavily
Yeah.
acidic, and our bodies are alkaline. And for us to consume that level of acidity, um, the what happens is, to put it in very, very, very simple layman terms, because I am a layman, I don't know I'm not going to talk like a
Yeah.
doctor, but the calcium is leached from our bones to alkalinize the acidic milk that we are drinking so that we can digest it, because as such your stomach is not capable of digesting
Yeah.
it. Of course we have evolved, of course we've come to a place where we can digest cow's milk and milk products so
Yeah.
easily. But it doesn't mean it's good for you. It doesn't mean that it's helping you in any way. It's really not.
True, and I think half of us don't even know that most of the population in India are actually lactose intolerant, and we can't even consume it, but we just don't know. We live in denial, and
Yes,
yeah.
because it causes a lot of indigestion issues, skin
Yeah.
problems, issues with like hair and stuff like that. So many things, and I think we don't draw the connect to that. We kind of just refuse it. A lot of
Yeah.
denial. Yeah, you're right.
So, talking about cheese now, how did the journey of Cowvathi start? Because it's only through Cowvathi that I met you for the first time, and even we are connecting over this podcast. So, how did the journey start,
Right.
and what's in your cheese?
Cowvathi journey has just been a lot of things kind of just fell into place at that point of time for me to do this. I had no intention of having a brand of my own, or even stepping into the world of business. Like, I literally didn't think I would be here.
Okay.
But I was in advertising. I worked in advertising for about 5.5, 6 years. I was a copywriter, and I enjoyed my job. Everything was kind of going well. Of course, I always felt like I wanted to contribute in some way to the world of veganism, and be in the space of alternatives in some way, but I did not know how or
Yeah.
what. um, I had recently started cooking at that point of time. Until then, I was never interested in anything to do with the kitchen, but I had a sudden interest in cooking, and I started cooking, and I started posting photos of it online on Instagram and Twitter and stuff like that. And there was just this cow figurine, that was there. And I decided to just keep it in the photos. And I started spinning a tale around how the food is dairy free. And I kind of gave the voice to the cow
Okay.
as if the cow was talking. I don't know. The name also just kind of came to me because it was just like Shasvathi Cowvathi. I didn't even think, I thought it was more like a joke online, not anything serious.
Okay.
And so then eventually I made a blog with the name because it became a big hit, and I had a lot of friends, telling me really nice things about it. So I just decided to try and take better pictures and to just blog. I think somewhere down the line I realized that this actually has more potential than just being a
Yeah.
blog, and I decided that I didn't feel like my advertising career was fulfilling. I felt like I wasn't doing anything in the area where I'm actually very passionate about, which is veganism. So I decided to quit. I worked in a couple of other places. I worked at Carrots. I got the kind of a base to start off
Yeah.
with, an understanding of how vegan businesses work. And yeah, that's when I decided that okay, I need to start it on my own, and I took a few months just to practice and perfect
Yeah.
the recipe that I really really liked. And then I held a small potluck with a few of my friends and friends of friends, to like kind of taste the cheese and get feedback, see how it is doing, and then that's how I launched it into a business. And touch wood, it's been 3 years now. Yeah.
Yeah, and to be honest, I love your cheese, and yeah, I think
Thank
it was the
you.
first plant-based cheese that I ever tasted after going vegan, because it was just first, it was so exciting to have something in the market to have, and finally someone doing something for the plant-based market people, like customers, right? So first, it your cheese was the first one I ever tasted, and second,
I'm so happy.
it is actually good, and the quality itself says that it's made with love, and especially with no animal harm. It just
Yeah.
makes the happiness quadruple, for that matter.
Thank you so much. That's really sweet of you. I am definitely one of the first ones. And I was very new, then I wasn't even sure if this is a space that would pick up at that point of time. But I had a lot of support from the community, and, a lot of people who told me to just keep at it and that it is going to pick up. And yeah, I'm so glad I did because, yeah, it's picked up massively. So it's a good time to be in a vegan business, honestly.
How difficult do you think it was to launch something in the plant-based industry when the market in India is flourishing with dairy
So it
products?
is difficult in the sense that dairy is heavily subsidized by the government in India.
Yeah.
So it's easily accessible to almost everybody. So to compete with that, I wouldn't say compete even today. We're not even at a 2% population to
Yeah.
compete with dairy, but it didn't stop me, it didn't scare me from it because I feel like there is still considerable population who are becoming aware of this kind of lifestyle, who want to try something new. There are a lot of transitioning vegans who find that having an alternative makes it easier to become a full vegan.
True.
So, it's just that sometimes because of the lack of having a product,
Yeah.
you end up falling back on an option you're used to. So, if you're not finding vegan cheese and then you're really craving cheese, there could be a day when you just walk in a supermarket and you're like, you know what, let me just pick it
Yeah.
up for today. It's
Yeah.
fine. So, having that alternative there changes things for a lot of people, and that meant something to me. I will say that it was a shot in the dark to see what the market is like and how the response is going to be. But I think the response has been phenomenal. And it's not that just because I run a business for that is vegan, only vegans buy from
Yeah.
me. No, in fact, vegans have figured it out. Vegans have figured out how to either live without the cheese or make their own cheese. For me, my main customer base is transitioning
Got it.
vegans. It's people who want to be vegan, and this gives them the little edge and the support. And I think when people see brands thriving in a vegan
Yeah.
space, they have more confidence that okay, this is
Yeah.
legit, and this space is growing, this market is growing, and I can be a part of it, kind of thing.
True. And back to my previous question, I think I also asked you what's in your cheese. So it'll be great if you can give us an insight into what exactly is your cheese made of.
Sure. So my cheese currently the one I'm selling is made of
Okay.
cashews. So it's from cashew milk, and it's I have six flavors basically. Each one is flavored differently. So garlic basil is my best selling
Okay.
cheese. um, this year I have launched pav bhaji flavored cheese, so that's also quite a hit because people are curious as to what is it going to even taste like.
Yeah.
And I do want to keep building on the Indian palate for different types of cheeses and cheeses we've not really heard of. So that's something that's very, very exciting for me. But mine is predominantly cashew
Okay.
based. Um, I am working, I have been working for a while now on a watermelon seed based
Wow.
cheese, but it's just not ready to be sold. I am still not happy with the recipe, and until I'm 100% convinced, I'm not going to put it up for sale, of course. So the watermelon seed recipe, the main reason I'm working on that is so right now I'm selling 100 grams of cheese for 150 rupees, and I wanted to get cheaper, so I'm trying watermelon seeds and cheaper
Alternatives. Yeah.
resources so that the price of my final product also it can be brought down, so it can be made more accessible to everybody. That's something I'm really like working on that. It's hard, it's difficult, but I think it's also
Yeah.
possible,
Yeah,
definitely.
and thank you for shedding light on that, because you also talked about subsidizing, like how government subsidizes the dairy industry. A lot of time people tell me that the reason they cannot afford to go vegan is because the alternatives are too expensive. But if in case, of course, the raw material cost comes down for you, then that also means that the cost which you actually put on the label also comes down. So I think the idea is for also to look at it from a ecosystem point of view, where the raw materials you use, their prices need to fall for you to even charge that lesser amount to the customer.
Absolutely. I'll tell you this. So, 100 grams of cow mozzarella cheese is at a minimum of, say, anything between 95 to
Yeah.
100 rupees. And this is that I have priced it at 150
Yeah.
rupees. So for privileged
Yeah.
folk who can afford it, it's actually not that big of a cost difference, especially when you buy it in bulk. Of course, there are a lot of people who have told me that okay, it's 50 rupees
Yeah.
more. So maybe I cannot afford it on a
Yeah.
sustainable basis,
Yeah.
for example. So I mean, I'm just being very open about it. Absolutely, I am with everybody on that. The whole problem I have with the whole veganism is expensive, this thing narrative, is that, you shouldn't rely on buying everything. For
True.
example, um, even when you are working with dairy, you don't buy every single thing on a regular
Yeah.
basis. It's not like you have 5 bars of butter in your fridge all the time. It's not like you are constantly, you're buying curd. No, you buy your milk, or you make your milk at home, and then you use that to make
Yeah.
other things. So I think that so much of veganism has become like this fad to, like, oh my god, if it's not labeled vegan, what am I even going to do? No, there is so much you can make at
True.
home. There is so much of natural stuff that you end up eating, so your fruits and your vegetables, your
Yeah.
greens, your nuts, and all of those things. So if you look at it, if you just need to take a step back and be like, okay, am I paying 50 rupees extra for this product? But where else am I actually saving?
Yeah.
Right now, as a vegan, unless I've had like body pain, or like, there was a time when I fell down and I hurt my leg, I've not been to a
Yeah.
doctor. There's just no need, because I don't have major like indigestion issues or stomach
Yeah.
issues or anything.
Yeah.
So overall, other than maybe like stray incidents
Yeah.
here and there, the amount of indigestion issues I used to have before versus
Yeah.
like now, the amount of times I used to fall ill
Yeah.
versus now. So I'm saying, you don't know where all you're
True.
saving until you actually try it, and then you'll be like, okay, so you can't look at veganism as just saying what's in my plate
Yeah.
today. Veganism is a lifestyle. You have to look at it as that. you know if it means that you are having 3 cups of coffee, and you need to start having 1 cup of coffee because that's how you're going to
Yeah.
regulate it, of course you're going to save money as well. So when you say veganism is expensive, I think it's wrong because you have not tried it, or you tried it the wrong way. And of course, support small businesses. Please support small
Yes,
businesses. Please buy from all of us. I'm not saying no to it at all, but I'm saying that, um, it can be made sustainable depending on your
true,
budget, depending on your
true.
affordability. And of course, I think all small businesses are working towards bringing the price down. Of course we want to bring the cost down. Of course we want to be a direct competitor to dairy, but that will happen only as the demand
True.
also increases. So if you do want to be a part of this movement, if you do want to be like, I have to contribute today, um, so that we can get to a place tomorrow where we can all be in the same space, in the same
Yeah,
price range, happy to do so. But if you don't buy from us today, then how are we going to get there tomorrow? So I'm saying that for people who
yeah,
can afford to shell out that 50 rupees extra,
yeah,
for example. um yeah, but to say that veganism is expensive on a, just a
yeah.
blatant blanket statement like that really
True.
doesn't work. It means you have not tried. You really need to give it like a month or two until, you also need to get used to it. You need to be in the kitchen a little more. You need to start making these small things on your own. Start making your own milk. Start making your own dahi. You know,
Absolutely, absolutely. I think when I drink milk, I think I drink it daily, but I drink oat milk. And I don't remember the last time I bought milk outside because
yeah,
it's so easy to make it. And to be honest, oat milk for everybody who want to transition but is finding soy milk difficult to consume, I think oat milk is the best alternative to start with. So,
it is. Oat milk is delicious. It's so easy to make.
yeah.
It's so fresh. And I mean, with coffee, it tastes
Amazing.
amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. So, Shaswati, before we move forward, there's a small rapid fire round that I'd like to do with you. And
Okay.
there will be just a few questions, and you'll have to give me a one word answer for that.
Okay.
All right. So, whenever you're ready.
Red.
All right. The first one is dog,
Love.
money,
Not so important.
want,
All the animals in the world to be free.
frog,
Cute.
desire,
Love.
sustainability,
Eco-friendly.
need,
Food.
veganism,
Present.
cheese.
Cowvathi.
Well, thank you so much. Um, yours was pretty quick and swift, to be honest. Yeah, because I've had answers in the past where people have said frog, oh, creepy, I don't like them, oh, shit.
I actually think they're really cute. I think they're incredibly cute. I think
Yeah,
even lizards are very cute. A lot of people are so scared, but I think they're incredible.
I am one of those people who was always very scared of lizards, but I think now
Oh, I'm so sorry.
no, but now I'm becoming better because I think veganism, what it actually taught me in the past 6 years is that they're doing their own thing. They're not disturbing you. Yeah, sure.
Right.
They fall on you.
Right.
Sure, they fall on me like every single time I cross them. But yeah, sure, they just fall on you. They don't do anything else. Um, so yeah, to continue, I think you talked about how Cowvathi as a brand is majorly for people who are planning on transitioning to plant-based diet. Um,
Yeah.
does your customer base include non-vegans? And if so, what's the kind of reaction they have or feedback they have for you?
Okay, I think firstly I'll just clarify that I didn't intend for Kavati to become like that. When I even when I started the brand, I think what I had in mind is that it has to be a brand that's open to everybody.
Yeah,
There is no kind of exclusivity saying, "Oh, this is vegan cheese, only vegans will have
yeah,
it." Absolutely not. A lot of people kind of assume that,
yeah,
they'll be like, "Oh, I have a vegan friend who I will tell them about your cheese." I'm like,
yeah,
"No, you also can try it, no?"
exactly.
Um, so he's like, it's like I always ask them, I'm like, okay, if you're a meat eater, does it mean you don't eat coriander, or does it mean you don't eat an apple because that's vegetarian? No, right? You don't draw a distinction over there.
Yeah,
You're like, I can eat this and that. So same thing. So include it as a part of your like what you eat or what you
Yeah.
would experiment or try.
Yeah.
It's not a big deal. So yeah, having said that, I didn't intend for it to become like that. I think that is a learning I got after about a year of being in business, and I realized that okay, it's actually the majority of people consuming this is transitioning vegans. um, Feedback has, touch wood, been really good so far.
Yeah.
The only issue that sometimes happens is people like, for example, my chili cheese, some people find it too spicy, some people find it not spicy enough.
Yeah. Got it.
So I have to tell them that it is a standard recipe, and so things like that. uh, there are a couple of people who thought the cheese was too salty, a couple of people who thought the cheese was not salty enough. So I think it's a little varied like that,
Yeah.
but as such, to if I have to say, like, product feedback wise, it's been pretty okay. I'm happy with it. I constantly feel like I can do better, and I constantly want to keep bettering my product. I want to keep trying to see how I can get it closer and closer to dairy
Yeah.
cheese. So feedback wise, I think I've been pretty blessed. I've been pretty happy with it. Okay. So the audience definitely includes non-vegans. So, like I was saying, there are a lot of transitioning vegans. There are also a lot of people who are vegan curious. So,
Yeah.
people who want to know more about veganism, who want to try more products. So, I also supply to a few cafes who are not vegan cafes, but they have a vegan pizza. So,
Okay.
things like that. So, it's a mix of everybody.
Okay. So, for your next question, do you think dairy should be a part of the feminist movement? Why or why not?
I think being anti-dairy is part of being feminist. It's a very important part of it because cows are females, and while feminism focuses on human females, but I think on a
Yeah.
fundamental level, and I think on a human level, as a woman, to understand what a female cow goes through is not difficult. It's very, very possible to connect on an emotional level. And if we dairy has so much of sexual abuse more than
Yeah.
anything else, and I think for women like us who will not stand for sexual abuse in any form, and I
Yeah.
think it should include dairy. How can you have a product of sexual abuse at the same time stand up against sexual abuse that happened to another female? So I
True.
think speciesism and feminism go hand in hand. It's very, very related. And while I don't want to take away from either of the movements, because each of them have its
True.
own kind of struggles, and it's been going on for so many years, and so many people have fought such, like, strong, brave fights about it.
Yeah.
Um, while I want to give equal importance to both, I also think they intersect. And I think it's important to be both. You can't be one or the either and say, I'm one, but I'm not the other one. It doesn't work
Yeah.
like that. It has to go hand in hand. And yeah, that's really important. So definitely connected. And I think, the sexual abuse that goes on in the
Yeah.
dairy industry, and you cannot get milk without sexual abuse. So, if you are against sexual abuse, please be against sexual abuse in any form in to happening to anybody. So that's, to me, that's what the connection is.
Thank you so much for talking about it, because a lot of times we forget to even link that or see that connection. And that actually brings me to the next question, which is, in India, majority of the dairy farms, or the sector in itself, is uh, led by cooperatives. And it's always shown in a good light, like how healthy the cows are and how much they take care of them. But what do you think really happens to the animals in the dairy industry?
Okay, so to put it very simply, you get milk from a cow when the cow has just given birth to a calf. Now,
Yeah.
for the cow to be able to give birth to a calf, the cow has to be pregnant.
Yeah.
Now, for a cow to naturally be pregnant in a industry where she does not see light, where she does not meet her fellow cows, is done artificially. So
Okay.
it all begins with artificial insemination, where when a cow is old enough, I think when she's about a year and 2 months old approximately,
Yeah.
um, there is a fully grown human man who takes the semen and he puts his hand up the vagina of the cow to deposit the sperm. And
Yeah.
this is done in a very unhygienic, um, terrible way. First of all, it technically qualifies as rape if you think
Yeah.
about it, because where did the cow consent for a human man to put his arm up her private part? Like, that's none
Yeah.
of our business.
Yeah.
And so once that is done, then the cow gets pregnant.
Yeah.
Then the cow gives birth to the calf, and if it's a male calf, the male calf is automatically sent to the meat industry for
Yeah.
leather, or to make
Veal.
other, yeah, veal and
Yeah.
other kinds of meat products. If it's a female calf, the calf is immediately separated from the mother.
Yeah.
Now, again, here, mother child bonding for any animal, including us, like we know the bonding we have with our mothers. So, to take away a calf from its mother, as soon as it's born, it's just cruel. They go through depression, they go through PTSD, they really miss the kids. And cows are a lot like us, they
Yeah.
have only one kid in like a few years, so they're very attached to their kids.
Yeah.
It's not even like, even with puppies, there are still like 3 4 puppies, and if one if there's an issue with one, the dog mothers will you will still see the dog mother adjusting. But cows are a lot like us.
Yeah.
So the attachment is a lot. And once you take the calf away from the mother, um, then the mother is automatically becoming a milk machine. So the machine is stuck to her udder, and milk is just drawn out and out and out of her body, so much so that blood, pus, all of it comes with the milk.
Yeah.
And now for
Yeah.
her to produce that milk, when her calf is not actually feeding on her, the cow is given oxytocin. Oxytocin is a drug that induces happiness. It's a
Yeah.
banned drug.
Yeah.
We cannot buy oxytocin just like that. It's sold in black, and it's
Okay.
available to all industries, the dairy industry. So that is fed to the cow, and that induces happiness, and then she gives milk.
Yeah.
And of course, to maintain her health and all of it, she is injected with um, antibiotics
Yeah.
through her lifetime, and she is fed artificial food. She is not given the food that she needs her for
Yeah.
to meet her nutritional needs. No, she's fed soy, she's fed corn. While it fills up her stomach, it's not nutritious enough for her.
Yeah.
And that is the product we're consuming. And if you talk to for anybody listening, if anybody is a mother, or you've definitely seen a human mother, a breastfeeding mother is
Yeah.
always told to be very careful of her diet, to not eat too much garlic, to not drink alcohol,
True.
to eat certain types of food. Why? Because
Yeah.
everything the mother does comes out in the milk she's producing. So, for the well-being of her child, the mother has to be very conscious of her diet. She has to be very conscious of her consumption. So, all of that included, that is the same for any breastfeeding mother. So, what the cow has been consuming comes out in the milk. So, if the
Yeah.
cow has been given antibiotics, if the cow is eating artificial food, if the cow has been given drugs,
Yeah.
uh, you're consuming that milk.
Yeah.
So I think that's to put it in a nutshell. This is what happens in a dairy industry. It's a very, very, very dark, depressing, horrendous place. And if somebody is, really not convinced, I would say that just go to a dairy industry. Just go. People
Yeah.
will love you.
Yeah.
Go and witness it for yourself. You will realize that we are not lying about it. We are not
Yeah.
exaggerating it.
True.
It's the truth. It's what
True.
happens.
True.
Watch a
And
cow cry, and you'll never be able to have a glass of milk again in your life.
that's so true because I remember from my own experience of, bearing witness to a few of these incidences in the dairy farms. I mean, it's disheartening on, I can't even express, like, the extreme conditions that these calves or these cows are kept in, and the open wounds, or the pus coming out. And like you said, right, the milk, they are giving hormones for even the milk to come out, and the milk is then the milk starts flowing. But to be honest, a cow's milk actually does not flow till the time the calf is actually not there.
Yeah.
So there's a lot behind the scene that we actually either deny or we don't want to look at. But it's time that we see what we are doing, not just to the animals, but when we are also consuming it, we're doing harm to ourselves and our family members who we apparently say that we love.
Another point I just want to add
Yeah,
here is that now this is what happens in a factory farm. This is what
yeah,
happens in your big industries, big milk brands.
true.
A lot of people, when you talk about this, they'll be like, no, but I buy from my local farmer. I
Yeah,
buy from the goshala next to my house,
yeah,
and where the calf drinks the milk of the mother, and then I take the milk.
yeah, yeah,
Um, I just wanted to address that because that's very, very common.
true.
What happens there is that, yes, some cows do produce excess milk, so do you.
Yeah,
So does any mammal. You will see that, producing, of course, the child is not going to drink every little drop that
yeah,
of the milk that you're going to produce. Of course, there's going to be excess milk. The cow is not going to explode if you do not drink that excess milk.
true.
Just like you do not drink the milk of a dog or a cat or a or another human for that
Yeah,
matter.
yeah,
We consider it to be so like, ew, like I wouldn't drink the milk of
yeah,
another human. Then why are you drinking the milk of a cow?
true.
So, like we said, in the even in a goshala, there is a very popular dairy farming this thing called the kalbacha. I don't know if you've heard of
Okay.
it. Kalbacha is basically the after the calf is slaughtered,
Yeah, yeah,
they stuff the body of the calf
true.
and they dangle it in
Yeah,
front of the mother so the mother can still smell her child and produce the
yeah,
milk. I mean, how horrendous do we need to be to get that milk so desperately?
true.
How can we be okay with, like, even just saying it out loud
Yeah,
is giving me like anxiety to even
yeah,
think about it.
yeah,
So then just think of the mother, what she's going through. You're manipulating someone into giving the milk meant for their child. I mean, you put a human being in the place of this, and you will want those people to be arrested, and
true,
you'll realize that you are that person doing it to somebody else.
true.
They're also repeatedly impregnated.
Yeah,
So, if a cow on a natural lifespan left alone will probably give birth to a calf once in 4 years,
yeah,
once in 5 years. So, in the lifespan of a cow, she probably has three, maybe four calves. Right now, in to survive in an industry, she's impregnated
yeah,
every year, which means yeah, she's either pregnant or she is a milk
yeah,
machine. There's just there's no gap, which is so bad for the health of the
yeah,
cow, which means cows, they die a lot faster, which works for the industry
yeah,
because that means you're directly sending that to the leather industry, to the meat industry. All of
true.
it is interconnected.
Yeah.
So yeah,
And by the time they're 6, 7 year old, they are already in such a condition that they are of no
yep,
use to the dairy industry as a
yep,
product. So then
yes,
they are sold for their meat or the leather, and it's a
that's
cycle that we are promoting, and
exactly.
we are spending our money on. So
Yeah.
yeah,
So it's very wrong to say that I only have dairy and it's not a big deal. No, you even consuming dairy is there's so much of a ripple effect. Like,
true,
there are repercussions of it. You're also supporting leather. You're also supporting meat. And why
true,
you might say you don't consume it, but the
yeah,
fact doesn't change that you are still contributing to it.
true, true. So for my last question to you, I think I'd like to know what's next for Cowvathi and what's next for you.
This is a very difficult question to answer in the middle of a pandemic where my business is currently not working. So, to give you the most honest answer I can at this point of time, it is that I want my business up and running again. I want deliveries to start running
Yeah,
smoothly again, so that I can stop worrying about it. It's given me sleepless nights, and it's been a very, very, very tough month. But my I've always wanted to have a cafe.
yeah,
It's something that I have always wanted, but I'm pretty far away from that dream because of 2020 has kind of just put through all plans off guard. Nothing is on track, and
true.
yeah, hopefully one day I have a cafe is what I think I want. But for now, without planning too much into the future, I just want my business up and running again. That's the most I can think of right now.
Yeah, I get it. I think that's the kind of next for you and for Cowvathi to
Yeah,
look
it
forward
really
to.
is. Because, no matter how much we have planned for
Yeah.
this year, everything's gone for a toss. So now I'm just like, how much do I actually want to plan? Like,
Yeah.
the future has never been this uncertain for any of us. So,
True.
I am just holding on to the present, and I'm just trying to not plan beyond the, 10 days up and down, so that,
Yeah.
it's easier to cope with the times.
True.
Because if I start thinking ahead of it, and then it's not going to happen, and then it gets even more disheartening, so I'd rather keep it this way for now, being safe.
Well, I get it. And, all the best, I think, for your cafe and also for, you know, 2020 and tackling everything that's that's for us to see what's happening next. But yeah, thank you so much for being on the show, and it was a delight having you.
Thank you so much. It was lovely talking to you, and all the very best to you as well. I hope 2020 is kind to us, at least for the rest of this year, and all the best to anybody listening. I'm sure it's a difficult time for everybody, and I'm just sending love and hugs to everybody listening, and to you, especially Kritika. That we get through this healthy, first of all,
Yeah.
and everything else next. And yeah, it's been lovely talking to you, and good luck.
Thank you for joining us today. In case you would want to connect with Shashwati, you can follow her on Instagram at the rate SHASVATHI. It's at the rate Shashwati. To follow Cowvathi on Instagram, you can visit at the rate COWVATHI. It's at the rate Cowvathi. To follow It's Critical on Instagram, you can visit at the rate ITSKRITIKALPODCAST. It's at the rate It's Critical Podcast. To follow us on Twitter, you can visit at the rate ITSKRITIKALPOD. It's at the rate It's Critical Pod. You can also connect with us on LinkedIn and on Facebook. You can also visit our website www.itscritical.com. It's www.itskritical.com for more information. Happy listening.